Okay, today is session 3 of 3 about identifying emotional causes of illnesses. So far we've talked about our current biases, our current beliefs about emotions and how we access healthcare. And then session 2, we talked about how to start to work through the denial. There's always a denial of truth about love of self, love of soulmate, love of everybody else, love of environment. And this denial are usually created when we're very, very young. And we don't even know we are in denial, which is why the illness shows up. And we usually have no clue what the issue is about. So when you're in your denial phase, you can try to guess, but I'm always surprised with what I find. And that if you allow yourself to experience the symptoms, experience the illness, if you let the fear come up and grow in you, then that will help you to have a strong desire, stronger than your desire to deny, so that you can actually start to work through what is it I don't want to know the truth about that I'm willing to be in illness. And doing this work, which I believe is a cause of illness, should be done hand in hand while accessing medical care, because we spend a whole lifetime, generation after generation, of denying emotions. And so it takes time to work through it. So always access healthcare, always access medication, access professionals. And as you start to look for the truth about what's going on for you, you will actually start to attract practitioners that are more in aligned. You will attract medication, you'll attract treatment procedures. Even the same practitioner that was not open to you will suddenly become more open to you, become more cognizant of the medication needed. For example, for myself, when I have patients, we'll spend a good hour getting into the emotional cost, working through the resistance, so that by the end of it, when the person has dropped into some emotion, then I will get the ideas on what treatment is best for you, which is why as you leave, I send you the remedy, I send you the tincture, I give you that thing, because you have now attracted what you need because you've dropped into your emotions. So I find that the more you're willing to even investigate, what is it am I denying? Why am I willing to be so sick and in so much pain? Or my children be in so much condition? Or I have so much economic hardship because of it? Why? What is this thing I'm avoiding so strongly? I don't even want to know what it's about. Just asking those questions will start to trigger a lot of support, a lot of law of attraction event, a lot of knowledge. Even as a doctor surrounded by medicine, I will not be drawn to what I need until I connect to something emotionally. And then that very medicine I'd always known about suddenly come into my consciousness. And that starts to help me to help repair the body, or help me to connect better to the emotions. So that is one phase. I want to talk about a couple of things here. Now, the thing here is that every emotion suppressed in the soul need to be expressed in a loving way without harming yourself or any other living beings. So every emotion that is suppressed is not necessarily about what happened to you, but it's about the fact that the emotion is suppressed. It's the suppression that doesn't work for our soul. We're not designed that way. So every time there's a suppression, now the soul has no flow of energy in that part of its soul, and the corresponding area in the spirit body and the physical body are going to start breaking down. So I decided to pick a particular issue that I have myself and try to ask God about how all of those issues have correspondingly created different health issues over time. And generally, what we call illnesses, when we are struggling and we're trying to get help, it's always the top layer of the consequence of addiction. Then you have all the other stuff under it. I'll give you an example. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I will start here. Um, I'm not aware of any of these issues down here. I'm only aware of, I seem to have an autoimmune disease, but I'm unwanted because I'm female. I'm unloved because I'm female. And then on top of it, there's also the behavior of a parent that is very aggressive and angry and is always blaming me. So now I have self-loathing and self-hatred, which happens because if I hate myself, then the abusers are placated and they back off. And also because there's a lot of anger being created and how I'm being treated, but the anger has to go somewhere, so it gets turned inward so that I can maintain a relationship with the parent. And then over time, you just forget that that's what you're doing and you're just constantly doing it all the time. Or even as an adult, you still want the relationship with that parent. So the anger keeps going inward or projected at other people. Now, in order to suppress all of these, I now create, I'm going to talk about just one addiction to being needed, so that I can avoid being alone, because I've been told that if you're alone, it's because you're unlovable. So I don't want to feel being alone. I don't want to feel unlovable. And I'm also punishing myself that I've been a bad person. I may just as well just be useful and important for others. My life doesn't matter. I have no worth. What's the point? And I have now emotionally connected to all of this. So then I became a workaholic. It's a way of being needed. I also have a lot of neediness, but I'm embarrassed that I'm needy for love, so I deny that. All of these are denied. So I became a workaholic. Now, workaholic, working too hard, you're using a lot of cortisol all the time to work, 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 work. And cortisol is what you need to keep autoimmune in check. But if I'm always using up my cortisol, it started to go down over time. And in order to maintain the high cortisol and give it a lot of easy glucose, now you got to eat a lot of sugar and carb. So each of these are creating their own separate health issues, is what I'm trying to bring up. So for me, over time, what I've discovered is that now I have an autoimmune disease. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm in serious health problems. And so now I'm going, what's wrong? What's going on? Help me fix this. So generally, we then go to somebody to say, take this away, take away the consequence of the autoimmune pain, the autoimmune condition, the lack of energy. There's no enough cortisol. Somebody make this go away. Somebody make this better. Give me supplement, give me herbs, give me whatever it is to bring energy again so I can continue my addiction to being a workaholic. That's generally what happens. So with practitioners here in this room, you're going to have patients coming to you going, make me better so I can go back to my addiction. So it's always the first layer, is always the consequence of addiction is the first layer you're going to come across. And then you're going, and then also when there's a lot of, every layer here have fear, 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 fear. And when you're in constant vigilance, because something can happen anytime as a child, that vigilance also is high state of constantly in cortisol, because you need to be in a parasympathetic state of calm and deep rest in order to turn that off and restore your body, restore your bones, restore your illnesses, which you're not going to go into because you're in vigilance. So that also uses up cortisol. So you can see all of each of these, each of them will have health impact, because in each of these you have suppressed emotion. So over time, each of them creating separate health impact will hit you. We call it death. Because over time, your body will break down and can't maintain life anymore, because all those emotions suppressed just breaks down the body. Breaks down spirit body, breaks down physical body. And so I decided to ask, what kind of health issues am I having for each of these? And so I was told that the feeling of being unwanted for being female, as I haven't released the grief about it, I don't act on my desire of who I am. I don't act on my desire of my personality. So I don't have a source of energy coming in to revitalize myself. There's no juice coming in. And I also accept abusive behavior from others, which also then, because there's a lot of rage and demands coming at me, also destroys the body. And then being unloved, I feel very, very terrible about myself. So those emotional feeling terrible about myself are cascading hormones into my body of feeling icky and feeling horrible. And it's also destroying my body because the emotion is trapped and the emotion is creating an interpretation and a self-perception that then translate into your hormones and neurotransmitters. And so I'm attacking myself. And then feeling needy in my neediness, in my denial of my neediness, I am disconnected from my true self because I'm constantly seeking something from somebody else. So again, there's no source of my own inner energy. And over time, that will, if there's no energy flowing in you, over time, you're just going to shrivel. You're just going to just die just from lack of flow of energy. And then I also have self-punishment and self-loathing is the autoimmune. That is attacking myself. There's a lot of anger. And the anger also create a lot of joint pain and ligament pain because I'm denying and suppressing the anger and I'm constantly attacking myself. So that creates a whole bunch of other pains. And then the cortisol is not maintaining the autoimmune imbalance. And then the high sugar, high carb will cause diabetes, will cause weight gain, will cause all the other stuff that comes with that, depending on your vulnerability. And I found that pancreas, a lot of people who have problem with pancreas are workaholic who are seeking the feeling that I'm good enough. And they never get that feeling because it's an addiction. So pancreas tend to create that push to feel I'm finally enough, I'm good enough, I've accomplished, I've arrived. But addiction is never satisfied. So each of these are creating their own set of health issues. And this is all very new. As I continue to grow and develop, I hope to get more and more understanding of how all of this are created. And then on top of it, like I'm a parent, and of course, if I have an addiction to being needed, how damaging is that to my children? Because I have to create in my children the feeling that they're not capable of caring for themselves, just so my addiction can be met. Now, there's a lot of damage based on that. And also, every time you are in addiction or you're meeting other people in addiction, you're causing them pain. So that pain you have now earned in your soul, that is also going to cause health problems. So you can see how this is all coming together. Okay. How did that land? 15 minutes of ranting. Comments? Now that I've depressed everyone. Casey?
I'm laughing because I was literally having a conversation with one of my clients about this today.
Okay.
Quite literally how and I thought it was funny because I'm like, oh, that's really interesting that it's on today's call that I'm having this conversation. Yeah. What am I denying in myself? Like what physical injury, illness, whatever am I denying in myself that I don't want to look at?
Yes.
that this is kind of coming up. And so now that you're talking about it again, I'm going,
some kind of,
really, yeah, I think something's poking at something.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are some notes I prepared about why we wish to stay in denial. So common reasons why we deny the truth, why we want to stay in denial, is because we want to maintain relationships from the past or in the present. We want to continue with our addictions. We want to maintain our facades that we're good people. So if I am having some health problems because I am earning pain from harming my children, but I have a facade that I'm a good mom. So am I then going to want to face the truth that I'm damaging my children? So I'm in a lot of pain, and that's why I'm having health problems. I'm not going to want to know that, because I want to maintain the story I have about myself that I'm a good person. Another reason why we deny is that we judge the emotion. I don't want to know that I have this much loathing and anger. I don't want to know I have self-punishment. We're also afraid of the emotion that the truth will trigger. This is something we've learned from everyone, from our environment, early childhood environment, to be afraid about emotions. So we don't want to know the truth because the emotions are going to come up, and we are afraid of that emotion. And then we also don't want to take responsibility for the long road it's going to take to repair the damage. We don't want to take the responsibility that once you know, you're like, oh, how long is this going to take? I have all these layers I'm going to have to work through and feel about it and feel about it and feel about it. And we're also afraid of how we will change and how people will treat us because we have now changed. Fear of change is a big deal. We're afraid that as we start to wake up to these things, we're going to change. If I now wake up to my addiction, like I have an addiction to being needed, oh, this has got to stop. There are a lot of relationships based just on the addiction. And suddenly you stop meeting other people's demands because you don't want to be needed anymore, because you see it's a sin. Oh yeah, there are lots of happy relationships that were based on that addiction. It's going to stop. People are going to stop. So if you're afraid, so if I have an addiction for approval, but then I'm going to stop my addiction to being needed, then my addiction for approval is going to kick in going, whoa, 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 you can't do that because now people want to approve of you. So now the other addictions are going to get challenged. We've also learned to be afraid and to deny emotions since our childhood as part of our relationship process in the family dynamic. So these are some of the reasons why we deny emotions. So questions about that or comments about that? Do you have any particular health issues you got going on for yourself or somebody that you want to start talking about? Maybe start with that.
Yeah, I've got a few.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I get really bad period pains. Okay. Have done my whole life, and yeah, it seems that I'm, whatever the emotion is, like I'd rather put up with excruciating pain every month than feel it.
Yeah.
But I still, I get little spouts of like feeling some, but I never really get to anything juicy, like anything substantial, it feels like.
Yeah. Okay. So that means that the fear about the truth is really strong.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, because of the amount of pain, hey?
Yeah. Fear is every step of what I just showed you have fears in it. Every step of the way, all those fears are having health impact. And then if you actually let yourself experience what that pain is like is it cramping? Is it squeezing? Is it like feel like it's punishing? Is it feeling like it's angry? Is it feeling spasming? If you actually start to feel the pain itself and you start to describe its character, I find that in itself will start to give you the language.
Yeah, right. I always used to feel like I was being punished.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. I don't feel like that as much these days, but there's definitely every month I would feel, like really hard done by, like I was punished for being a woman,
Okay. Now, there are a lot of emotions to feel about. And right now, if you were to use a word to describe your experience right now, your discomfort, what would you use? What word would you use?
Inconvenient is the first thing that pops into my mind.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of self-attacking things like like unreliable. You know, this is me being able to be a person in society. Like I'm unreliable because I, you know, have to take time out every month. And but my emotion.
So like, you have an addiction to being productive, being useful, being needed. What's the addiction here? Because you're angry about not getting the addiction met, right? The period has inconvenienced you from not getting your addiction.
Yeah, I feel like I'm you know, like I'm the target of other people's attack when, you know, when I can't be reliable. So I turn that back on myself.
Well, you're turning it back on yourself so that you can avoid having to feel somebody else's projection.
Yeah, my dad was like a really hard, like, you gotta work, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So there's fear of being unreliable. So I'm terrified that I'm currently unreliable. And if I'm unreliable, I am not going to get my dad's approval.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say right there, if you start to feel about that sentence right there and start to feel the fear about, I'm not going to get my dad's approval, on top of it, I'm actually going to get his anger. I can already feel your fear right there. You feel so small. If you start to go into your fear itself, and then, but while you're doing it, watch the pain, watch the pain, watch the pain, and then you're going, oh, there it is. So your body is probably like exhausted from constantly trying to be meeting this addiction to being reliable, and you just have to crash and recuperate.
Yeah.
And then you're back at the addiction again. Unfortunately, like then we're like back at the addiction. So you got to catch the addiction. It really helps.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but you see how when you're working through the consequence of the illness, right there, the language is already there. Oh, darn, I'm not reliable right now. Damn it. You know, like you're already using the phrase of like, oh, I just ain't reliable. So go right there and go into that. What is this word about? So you can look at it from the perspective of the consequence of the illness, or you can look at, I really don't want to know the truth about what this is. Either way, it's going to take you into the same cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. And self-punishment is a way of avoiding feeling something else coming from somebody else. It's a way of squeezing just a tiny amount of power, just so you can feel some glitch little bit of power instead of feeling the powerlessness of being attacked, which I've been examining for the past 2 days, 3 days. Okay. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then naturally that will probably take you into the feelings of the projection I get from men for how what an inconvenient I am for being a woman. And that a woman is supposed to be meeting addictions of being useful or whatever. A woman can't be who she is for her own self, expressing her own true nature. She's supposed to be of use to others only. And if she's not to use of others, to others, then she has no worth. And then you're like, but I'm looking for worth. I need worth. So now you're stuck into the addiction. So you can see how one then spiral back into the other and the other.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, other stuff you guys want to look at? When I was trying to feel about, yeah, go ahead, Selena.
Okay, well, I'll just talk about what happened to me yesterday. So I have a lot of pain in my joints, like my hips, particularly on my right side, and my knee, my hip. And I feel like yesterday I came home really just quite feeling hopeless, pissed off, depressed, because it feels like all of the disposable energy that I have and physical ability I have to use on the things I need to do, and there's none left for anything else, even like going for a walk.
Yeah.
There's just none left. Now I have to put my feet up. because I already spent 4 hours at work and doing some stuff around the house, and that's it. I'm done now for a while, and my family's coming over later. So now I gotta, like, there is no recreational energy left for me. Yeah, if that makes sense. That I was really ticked about that yesterday. Yeah.
So the feeling is that now I have nothing left that would nourish me, that would feed me, that would sustain me.
Yes.
Because the energy got used for kind of go addictions.
Yeah. Gotta tidy the house and go to work and do that stuff. Yeah.
And somehow what you're denying is that there's some emotion about men in that. Either you're meeting a man's demand or men's definition of what a woman should be doing, or there's some suppressed anger. You know, a woman should tidy the house. A woman should prepare for a family coming over later, instead of saying, well, I'll have so much energy, I'm going to go take a walk and feed my soul, and we'll just see what happened to the house and to the guest. Whoa, no. See how the addiction which are demands that I'm assuming is based on men's expectation, because the pain is on the right.
Oh, yeah, because I wondered where the man came, because it pains on the right. Yes. Yeah, men's expectation. Also, there's another feeling of, with my daughter, like she's got these concerns because of what she can see as my physical limitations.
Yeah.
And I think she can also see maybe if the house is deteriorating in some way, then that really concerns her, that, you know, mom needs to be looked after. You need to maybe get a different house or whatever, you know, no stairs, or, you know, to start limiting our life because mom is deteriorating. So now I'm also feeling this feeling of not letting that show in my environment, you know, that things are still getting, and I really don't give a shit that much. Really, in reality, I just don't want her to worry about me, you know.
But the fear is of losing control or of being controlled, right? Like somebody else is going to start making decisions for me. I will lose control. I will lose autonomy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or making decisions based on family peace, you know, so I don't have to deal with the projections of worry and you know, you're getting old kind of thing.
But that's not just worry. They're going to justify making decisions for you, which will take away what? Your control, your autonomy, your freedom. Go another step. You're like, I'm going to lose control. People are going to justify their fears to make decisions for me, and I'm going to lose my freedom. I'm going to lose my sovereignty. I can't go for a walk that feeds my soul, which means I don't have freedom. I see how it's the same thing. I don't have the freedom. I don't have the choice.
Oh yeah, there's a connection there. Yes, because I gotta,
And if somebody sees me deteriorating, now they're going to take away my choice. I'm going to lose my choice. So it's coming back to the same language, no matter which angle you look at. And you're denying the fear about losing control or losing autonomy and losing choice, which is obviously a childhood issue.
Yeah.
And if you remember earlier today, when you were speaking to me earlier about fostering babies,
what
you do with your free time.
Yeah, like my mom, just so everybody knows, my mom fostering babies, not me.
But you
so there was always,
you expected help and care.
Yes.
So where's your choice to go out and play?
No, there wasn't. No.
See how you were already speaking. You see how the emotions already surfacing for you? Like it's already coming, your memory's been coming back. So usually life is already bringing the triggers to deal with the emotion that is causing the illness.
It's hard to see it from there, that because I was so proud of my abilities and the feelings of worth that I got from being a little adult, that it's hard to see that as a negative thing. But on the other hand, I was sad about not fully being a child either, and being able to engage with other children as a child with that type of freedom.
And even now, you're like, I'm going to go play, which is I'm going to go walk in nature. No, there's no energy for that.
There's no energy for that. I need to use it all for the important things I have to do.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But the addiction driving
Yeah.
it is seeking approval, seeking belonging. Look at the addiction that's driving the child's desire. I got to do what mom wants because what is
Yeah.
I'm getting from her? What I'm getting? What? Like you still have to go back to the bottom layer.
Yeah. It's interesting, the male thing though, because my dad particularly, I can't even imagine him even noticing any of it, you know, in terms of.
But why does your mom have, why did your mom create these demands and addictions in you? Like how many generations down are we meeting demands by men?
Yeah. 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 Well, certainly she was meeting a demand of her father.
Yeah.
To have a certain level of performance. Yeah.
So this is how you can tie it together.
So maybe just that expectation of this is how, as a woman, you function in the world to get a man, to please men, to be the right kind of woman that men will want.
And if
like that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not going to, if you don't meet those demands, now the fear kicks in. That means I will not survive. I will not be supported.
Yeah.
I'll be kicked out. Now, see how the fears are kicking in now? Like you can start labeling the fears and you're going to have to process the fears. Now I feel insecure. I feel my survival is at stake. I feel now the fears are kicking in and you start releasing those fears and you will not attract somebody who's saying, I'm going to take away your choice just because the house is dirty. Your daughter will just forget to do those things because she won't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
See, so all you have to do is stop playing with the words. Just start to go, you know, it's an inconvenience. And now I am not reliable. And you're going, look at that phrase I just used, which is what I do with myself when I start to tantrum about like, I don't want to know what's causing my neck pain. Don't you dare tell me what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. And I start, and then next thing you know, I'll say it. Something will come right out of my mouth. And I go, what did I just say? Broken? I don't want to know I'm broken. What's that about? So now I go into the phrase. And it's the same thing I do with you guys. I'm listening because there's a phrase you will say, and that's your in. Yeah. So write it down, jot down all the consequence of the illness, work it out. Or when you're helping somebody else, listen. There's a word someone will say. And if you're sensitive, you'll see the energy in the room will literally spike. And you're going, what was that word? You have antennas. And you can feel something in you go, what was that word again?
Yeah. I think my husband, he spent some time with, you know, the people down the street from you. They call it a charge.
Yes.
When a word has it's a charge. They call it a charge. It's right. Just a good description.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can actually feel something will suddenly hum because you've spoken the truth, emotional truth. And that was the antenna.
Yeah.
So there are many ways to find, and many times when you finally start to feel what you were denying and you start to work through it, you start to realize, actually, I've been getting hit with this for the past 6 months, for the past 3 months. Like for me, with my autoimmune disease that got really bad in January, and I stopped being in denial about it, when I really looked down at all of the addictions and all of those pieces, I'm going, oh no, God has been coming at me full on with these issues for the past 3 months. It's been relentless. Now I get it. So you're already being helped before you know. You're already attracting the same trigger. So if you let yourself be triggered by every little law of attraction, you just get into the emotion and you already solve the health problem. There are lots of help coming to you. But letting yourself experience the pain grows your desire. And there's another factor. When we're working through suppressed emotion, it's all about the suppression that needs to move and the truth that needs to be accepted. It has to come into conscious awareness. It has to click in and you have to go, oh, I see it now. I feel it now. There's something about it that it needs to come through your conscious awareness as it leaves you. And all you have to do is allow the emotional experience. That's the cure. That's it. That's all you need to do. And when you're working through emotion, you start to freak out and go, all this fear, what am I supposed to do with it? Well, you're really feeling it. It's done. There's nothing to do. There's no healing necessary. Yeah. So there you go. Very good example. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to pick something? Going to be a short one. Anybody remember something that they did have in the past that they worked through and they want to give an example of what they realized what it was about? When I was working through self-punishment, the past few days, I noticed every patient I was helping were working with self-punishment, and I go, am I self-punishing? Do I have that? So you kind of start to like putting down a fishing hook. You're kind of going, self-punishment. Am I self-punishing? Let me go look for self-punishing. So I then start to say, I'm punishing myself. I want to punish myself. Just saying it out, just to see if something starts to surface. And a lot of things start to surface. And I go, holy moly, I'm doing a lot of things and denying myself lots of good in my life out of self-punishment. And as I start to say those words, okay, I am self-punishing. My God, I can see it now. The back of my neck started to scream, started to spasm. It's like I always have this neck pain, and they're usually numbed out. I just kind of ignore it, but it started to really just pop out. So I go, okay, I got to put down the self-punishment piece. I got to go feel what this is about. And as I felt into it, which is basically me saying, I don't want to know what this is about. I don't want to know the truth about this. I really rather be in this much pain than know what this is about. And I dropped into the feeling of, I didn't want to accept the truth that when my parent was abusing me, the parent really, really meant to destroy me. That I felt the parents' true motivation in that moment. I didn't want to know. I don't want to remember, because I, as a child, needed to believe the story that the parent is a good parent. And the parent wanted me to foster the story as well. So as I felt into it, I could feel myself remembering as a child, parents' powerful demand, I will destroy you. And I, as a child, didn't want to accept the truth because it was too painful. And for that reason, just for that one reason alone, my neck has been in a lot of pain. And it's stopped. I've accepted going, yep, no, my parent really does have the intention of destroying me. And that's heartbreaking. And that's okay. But I just had to accept the truth about it. And then that particular pain, I think it was the muscle of, which muscle was this one? There's so many muscles in my neck. It's like a beautiful source of learning there. Longissimus capitis. No, I think that was splenius. That was splenius. And now I'm looking at the longissimus capitis. That's another one that's coming out to the side. That's the one that's now beginning to tweak at me. But that particular, probably the splenius is now much better. It's already, I can already poke in there and feel about it, and that's already released. So at some point when you start to look for certain emotions or certain truths, you're willing to not be in denial about it, some parts of your body will start to hurt more. So Selena's hip and knee are probably hurting more to help you find those emotions. And Laura's, cramps are getting worse because Laura's been really working on a lot of emotions. So it's saying, it's over here, look in here. And you have to start with the pre-existing denial and then go backward. So don't see it as an issue of like, oh, I'm denial, I'm not doing it right, I'm resistant and it's all my fault and why aren't I being more humble? And no, I see it as an opportunity. It's actually helping you. Yeah. And so with each layer that I work through, so my curiosity with myself now is that as I work through each of these layers, now over here I can feel the autoimmune condition, and then the neediness, I can feel, so I need to experience the consequence of what my addiction has cost me. Feel the exhaustion, feel the lack of life flow that I have. feel the consequence of creating people that are needing to be needed. And what is that like? I have to experience all of those consequences in order to release the pain from my soul. And then, so now I'm wondering if somewhere in here, if I start to go into self-loathing, self-hatred, will that then create or reactivate certain physical sensation? When I finally start to feel about being unloved, will that then maybe sensitize another part of my body and some kind of pain will come up? So I'm curious to see if with each layer that I release and the next layer I go into, is there a physical sensation and discomfort that will then say, okay, good, you can process me now. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. So I'm curious to find out how it will go as I go along. It's so exciting. I'm so excited. Now I want to know with each layer, with each of my addictions, now I should ask, what's the health consequence of each of this? Tell me. It'd be so fun. It'd be so fun if a whole bunch of us do it together. We can all learn. Oh, yeah. So Michaela is asking, at what point do you consider pain from spirit attack? God. So yesterday I started hurting head to toe, painful physical spasms. And then I was looking at the punishment piece and I was feeling the grief about punishing myself. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to stop punishing myself. This has got to stop. I'm not going to do this anymore. And I got in severe physical pain. And then I go, what's going on here, God? What's your feeling on why I'm in so much pain right now? Am I denying something? Did I just commit an addiction? What's going on? And I felt a lot of projection coming from spirit attacking me for no longer accepting punishment. So I will no longer accept their abuse. So they got angry and they started attacking me. So yes, that is, I don't want to freak people out who are new to all this kind of language going, what do you mean spirits? They're just people who have passed on, who are not wanting to heal yet. And they will project pain at you. But if you're willing to feel the pain and feel the emotion under it, it releases the attachment. And so with that, the pain disappeared because I went into, okay, God, help me forgive them. I'm being attacked. I'm receiving blackmail. I actually got a lot of blackmail and threats from them. Like, we're going to destroy you. Anything you do for yourself, we're going to take it away. We're going to destroy you. Like, there were a lot of threats coming at me. And I'm sensitive, so I can actually hear it. And I said, well, I'm still not going to stop doing what I'm doing. But God, help me forgive these attacks right now. Help me love them. That was my motivation. That was my desire. And for some reason that turned off their ability to access me. So forgiveness, the desire to forgive has taken me 6 long years to work through so that I can actually sincerely say, oh, help me forgive, please. How do I forgive this? How do I forgive myself? How do I forgive the others? But in the beginning of your process, if you've experienced a lot of abuses, when somebody say you should forgive, it's probably going to bring up a lot of anger, and that's okay. I processed a lot of anger and a lot of justification in order to then release the emotion and get corrected as to why forgiveness is the most protective thing I can do for myself. The most protective thing. And it's okay to work through that process year after year after year, where I've gone from, I will never forgive, to, oh my God, how fast can I do this? That's not only for me, it's also for them. But how fast can I do this? This is the only thing I need to do to protect myself. So there are a lot of discussion we can have about spirit attacks and spirit projections, but I'm gonna keep that simple here. But you know, I'm happy to have more and more discussion and workshops on health and emotions. I'm just putting out what I know, and then depending on your desire and your questions, I'm happy to do more workshops. Laura.
Hey, I'm just going to add to that what you were just saying about the spirits. Asking to have compassion as well for them.
Yeah.
It sort of helps you to see them not as someone attacking you, but someone who's injured.
Yeah, okay, that's a beautiful too.
Yeah, and you get like this overwhelming sort of feeling of love, and I felt them respond to that a lot.
Yeah,
more than just, you know, if you get really, I mean, I've been through that the whole rage stage, and you know, just telling them to go away and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
in different kind of language, but yeah, sometimes, yeah, I think you're right, just praying.
So Laura, what you do is can you repeat the prayer that you asked for? What is it you say in your prayer?
Yeah, so just acknowledge that, like, if you can feel the attack happening, like acknowledge to God, like, I can feel this is happening. Can you please help me to sit, have love and compassion for these people as you do, God.
Oh, that's beautiful. See, that's the key word. Help me feel about them the way you feel about them. That's that's beautiful. Okay.
I don't always remember to, but it just popped into my head.
Thank you. That's a really good prayer. And Selena.
I find for me too, it really helps with that is just apologizing, repenting for the attraction. Like, I don't want to feel something and you're attracted to that.
Exactly.
And we're kind of in this together. You know, it's not kind of you against me. We're in this together. And I'm sorry that I brought you into my little drama, my injury. And that kind of, I can almost feel them go, what?
Yes.
You know,
absolutely.
What? Yeah. So that kind of, and then sort of feeling through it together in a way, what's going on. I just really find that helps. And actually sometimes then I get to even more, if they're being manipulated by somebody else, that's the real cause at their motivations, you know, then that helps me even more understand what's going on with me. Yeah.
Always set your boundary where you say, I'm not going to do what you want. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. And then if you're mediumistic, if you're sensitive, you can actually talk to them and try to get help for them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a law of attraction event. There's something in me. Sometimes when I'm feeling stuck and the attack is still going on, I will say, okay, I need to repent. Help me feel the damage I'm causing them. And then I can feel my attraction of what is it that I'm doing to them that created the attraction.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Michaela. Yeah, if you're not sensitive and don't know if it's spirits or not, what do you suggest? So I would say I didn't know about spirits. And yesterday I started to feel all that immense pain in my body. If I start to feel the pain itself and start to cry about, oh my God, this is so much pain, I would have probably gone into, I don't deserve this pain. What did I do so wrong? Why am I in so much pain? Did I do something wrong? It doesn't feel fair. I would have probably gone into, I'm trying to feel my feelings. Why am I in so much more pain? What did I do wrong? I feel like it would have taken me into the emotion of, I don't deserve what's happening to me, which is basically, I don't deserve to be attacked by spirits. I think it would have taken me to the same language and the same emotion. And I think what happened with that was I dropped into fear that if I do what I want, I'm not going to get approval. I can't remember. There was a fear I dropped into. When you get into your fear, you don't get spirit attack about that issue. I find processing fear, connecting to fear, really create a protective barrier. And then, of course, they're watching and they're learning too. So usually if I'm really being hammered, I'm like, oh, it's fear. I'm not feeling a fear. What do I need to feel? I get into fear. And then you start processing fear. And I have, for those who are watching these videos without knowing about my other videos, I have created a 6 series of videos about processing fear and 9 series of videos about addictions, so that can help you to just have kind of like my introduction level of conversation about it. And through it, you can see where I got the real resource, which was from divinetruth.com and other relevant videos that you can watch to really learn about addictions and fear. At this point, I'm just trying to sort it out from the top down as I go and share it before I forget. Okay, other questions or comments? And of course, if you're hearing about spirits and it makes you feel fear, then go for it. There you go. Get into the fear. Process it. I've done lots of those kind of processing fear where now I can see them, I can hear them. Doesn't do anything for me because I process the fear about it, literally. Like you release it and then there's just nothing to get to you. Laura.
Hey, have you looked much into like the channels, the meridians? I don't know, but I just did an assessment on it, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's so awesome.
Absolutely, like, that's how I understood my autoimmune condition. The way I understood what was really going on was from looking at the Chinese medicine perspective of meridian. When I looked at what's going on with my lungs and the autoimmune, and then I went into the stomach, going, this is caused by my stomach spleen meridian. What's going on over there? And then I look at the emotional causes. Oh, distracted eating. So thank you for that. So self-punishment. So I feel needy. I feel needy that I'm needy for love, but I'm not getting any. And then I turn to food to get the feeling of love and contentment and milk and, you know, all those kind of feelings. And yet when I eat, I have a separate set of abuses that happen around mealtime. So when I eat, I get a lot of attack and punishment and blaming and guilting. So then when I eat, I can't be present to eating. I have to check out. I have to like watch TV or read a book to get out of it, because if I presently eat, I get so much self-attack or other people attack that then I can't even process it. So when you eat what is called distracted eating, your body will not make qi, it will make phlegm. And when you make phlegm, it goes into different parts of your body. Mine goes into my lungs, literally, and create breathing difficulties. So when you look at the meridian perspective, you're going, oh, I can see how it all ties in together. So meridian is a beautiful way of, I mean, if it's, you know, Laura and I, like we're health care practitioners, we love this stuff. You don't need to know it. It's just fun to break it down and go, I got to stop distracted eating. And I've known it for 3 years and I still am just barely getting there. That's how difficult it is to process the attacks when I eat, which was always self-punishment. So now that I'm no longer accepting self-punishment and I'm willing to grieve it, now I'll be able to eat and taste it. And so not make phlegm and da 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 da. It takes time. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the hot, cold, damp, dry sort of side of things as well. Hey, like it's all, it's entire, I just can't wait to delve right into that.
Go for it. Go for it. When you have this kind of passion, you'll start to develop the language and the intuition, receiving intuition from your guides. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of us nerds, it's fun. It's all I do all day. So you don't need to solve your health problems. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks.
Other questions or comments? And I have had, okay, so let's say a situation has happened that is now going to trigger an emotion in a big way. Okay, is your law of attraction. Say you've avoided grief for a long time. I hear this a lot in news. You've avoided your own grief for a long time, and now something big has to come because a lot of little things have been coming at you to remind you of the emotion. You're not listening to it, so now something big has to come to you to trigger the grief. And it's a big law of attraction, big emotional trigger, and you go, no, I will not feel that grief. So for example, I've heard of people who, like, if let's say there was a death in the family, and next thing you know, one of the parents has a heart attack and die. And they're going, oh, it was a grief. And I go, no, it wasn't a grief. The grief got triggered, but the person decided, I will not feel that. But the emotional trigger was so big and your resistance is so big, boom, you're going to have a violent event to shut you down. That's so usually I see heart attacks as a strong reaction. I will not feel this grief, and that strong response will create a strong physical event like that, car accident, so whenever you have something coming at you and it's big and you're going, whoa, that's a big trigger, just tell yourself, okay, I'll look at it, I'll chip away at it. That's what I tell myself. It's scary, it's okay, just do 30 seconds of it, just get a feel, don't shut it down completely, just little sips. And so when I first started to feel grief because of my lung situation, I have a lot of fears about it. When it first started to come on, I literally have to hold on to something and go, whoa, okay, this is really painful. I can't even stand right now. But come on, you got this. And it will hurt, it will squeeze and have a little bit of cry. I can't breathe. And then it will pass in 30 seconds. And then I'll tell myself, you did it. It's okay. I can do this. I can handle this grief. So I literally have to prepare myself when the grief comes. I go, hold on, you can do this. You're going to survive this. Let it happen. So there's some issues, some big emotions that you have to talk yourself into. You're going to be okay. And I spend years waking up 3 or 4 in the morning, not being able to breathe and processing the fear about it. Year after year processing, I'm terrified. So now I don't wake up not being able to breathe. I wake up in fear, and then I just process the fear over and over. I just slowly, now I think last night I didn't wake up at all. There's some nights, maybe 2 or 3 nights in a month, where I can actually sleep through the night without waking up with like terror of like whatever it is. So I'm like retraining myself. You can handle this emotion. You'll be okay. A little bit at a time. Yeah. We've learned to be afraid of our emotions. If you're not afraid of feeling fear, you'll get into any emotion. Okay, well, we had a good run of 3 sessions, and I'm happy to do more workshops depending on certain questions, certain health issues, certain organ systems. The more I learn, the more I'll share. So thank you for your participation. It's brought some good questions and discussions. Okay.
Thanks, Mila.
Absolutely.